That's by the Tragically Hip. Ah, here it is. Good, good, good. All right, here we go. First thing we'd climb a tree, and maybe then we'd talk, or sit silently and listen to our thoughts, illusions of someday, cast in a golden light, no dress rehearsal, this is our life. And that's where the hornet stung me, and I had a feverish dream with revenge and doubt. Tonight we smoke them out. You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. There in the morning shroud, and then the day began. I tilted your cloud, you tilted my hand. Rain falls in real time, rain fell through the night. No dress rehearsal, this is our life. And that's when the hornet stung me, and I had a serious dream with revenge and doubt. Tonight we smoke them out. You are ahead by a century. 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 And disappointing you is getting me down. High Theater Drive, absolutely. That is good. Dihydrogen oxide. That is very, very good. Dihydrogen oxide.
I wanna go wanna love till my heart's delight. I wanna sing till the dawn's early light.
Is this mic on? Yeah, I guess it is. Good. Hey, Double Tribble is here. Hi, my name is Ron. I live in rural New Hampshire. I stream science and technology and a bunch of other stuff. And yeah, I made it. Not too many hitches today. I had a few hitches, technical problems trying to get this thing going, but looking good so far. My learning curve is up to where whatever OBS and the rest of the stuff is going to throw at me, I can at least find a path back into something that works. So that's good. So here we are. Today I don't know. I'm trying to get into a rhythm or whatever, a schedule. I was messing with a schedule when I first set it up. I just put all the days of the week and just put random times in there, and I didn't stick to the schedule at all. So I want to try to get some kind of schedule. I think we've got a movie night on Saturday night. I think that's a good fit, but I still got to dial in time yet. So that'd be good. The only problem there is finding content, finding free movies to stream on Saturday night. That's kind of tough. Yeah. So maybe we're stuck with public domain stuff right now for Saturday night streaming. And last night was kind of a messed up thing. Last night we did Little Shop of Horrors, which is not even really sci-fi. Maybe I'll change that to just movie night instead of retro sci-fi. Because there aren't. I can count almost on one hand the number of public domain sci-fi movies that are out there that would be watchable. Some of them aren't even watchable, But last night, yeah, it was kind of messed up. This OBS is really something else, man. If you've ever used it, if you're a streamer or you hear streamers complaining about OBS, it's justified, definitely. So, but we got through it. I stayed up all night afterwards because it just frustrated me so much. I wanted to find a solution to it. And I did. I found a way that I think will fix the problem that we were having. We were having a synchronization problem with the audio, and I figured out another workaround way to do that. So I think that's going to work. So today I wanted to talk about science and technology. Make it I've kind of done a lot of different science and technology stuff, and I have a whole bunch of ideas on what to do, and I'm just going to try them all and see what I like to do, and see what maybe people like to do. I don't have enough viewers yet to really gauge. There's no way to statistically figure out what people want to hear, see, or whatever at this point, because I don't have any viewers, or hardly any. Thank you for. I have a viewer out there now. Thank you for watching, and we got viewers on the VOD. A lot of hits on the VOD, and then I sideload the videos up to YouTube, so you can check out my YouTube. It's in the thing there. You can, maybe I can just post that here. I need to set up a command for that, right? To socials. But yeah, you just go on my Twitch page there, and go to About, and then it has the link to my YouTube channel. It's doubletribble-yt. That's it. And if you go to YouTube and type Double Tribble, it should come up. It's funny when I first set up this account. It was about a year and a half ago or something, or 2 years. I forget now when I set it up, but it must have been a good name, I guess, because somebody went out there, and after I set up this account, because I checked online to see if the name was used anywhere, to see if it was something that somebody was already using for something, and nobody was using it. It was a unique thing. So I picked it, and then shortly after I picked it, then somebody went out there and to all the social media sites and set up double tribble accounts. I don't know. So, and I never thought I would. I just was going to use it. Only I didn't know. Think I was really going to stream or do anything with it. So I didn't bother doing all that. But I did check to make sure it wasn't used by anybody else. Anyway, so it's doubletribble-yt is my YouTube handle or account or whatever username. So tonight, I want to talk a little bit about, you can see by the title of the thing, how to convert from centigrade to Celsius. Okay. Yeah, that's a joke. But I want to talk about energy and heat and just stuff in general, and seriously talk about how to convert from Celsius or from Fahrenheit to Celsius. Right? Yeah, or from Celsius to Fahrenheit. Either way. Because I'm in the U.S. and I can't believe they're still using. We're not on a metric system or not. We're still using Fahrenheit. That's. I think they're in the U.S. and maybe one other country are the only ones using Fahrenheit anymore. But for some reason, people are resistant to change. I don't know why they don't want to do that, but I use it as much as possible. I try if I have, I've got thermometers all over, outside in different rooms and stuff like that, and I set them all to Celsius if I can. And if they don't have Celsius, then they're in Fahrenheit, and I have to convert all the time, just because of that. Because I've got some thermometers that don't have a Celsius setting on them. So so I got to convert one to the other. And after a while, it just kind of becomes natural to convert them. But let me explain the title for those who don't get the joke. Centigrade is the same thing as Celsius. So if you want to convert from, here's the real answer, right? If you want to convert from centigrade to Celsius, you multiply by 1, and it will make the conversion for you that way. Pretty simple, right? So it used to be called, this guy, I looked it up here just to make before the thing, and back in the 18th century, there was a guy named Celsius, Celsius, who, I think it was Switzerland, was where he was, Sweden or Switzerland, oh boy, I forgot now. Let me see if I've got that here. I'll bring it up and take a look really quick just to see, make sure I'm giving you the right information. Got to be accurate here. Sweden, okay. So he was in Sweden. Swedish. There we go. Okay. So, and it was the first part of in 1742. Okay, so that was a long time ago. He did this. This guy was really smart. I mean, way back then he was figuring out, the relationship between pressure and temperature and when water boiled and all that stuff. So that's a long time ago to be doing that kind of stuff, actually. And he measured it very accurately, and he proposed this scale. And what he proposed was that the boiling point would be 0, and the freezing point would be 100. And I'm sure he had a reason for doing it backwards like that at the time, but then later on they adapted it and they flipped it around and made it 0 for 0 is the point at which water freezes at 1 atmosphere, standard pressure, because it changes, right? The boiling point of water changes as you go, to change your pressure, right? If you go higher altitude where it's lower pressure, water will boil at a lower temperature, and vice versa. So yeah, that's what that guy proposed, and what they ended up adopting was 0 for freezing and 100 for boiling. But they called it centigrade at that time. And it was like that for a while, and apparently in French and other languages, the word centigrade means like 1/100th of a gradient, which is a angular measurement. So it was confusing for people. It could possibly confusing. So at some point, I forget when it was, 1948, they decided to officially use the word Celsius for the scale instead of centigrade. The centigrade is still used, and it's nothing wrong with using centigrade. It's just an older. It's not official, right? It's not the one that they officially say. But most people use Celsius. So yeah, the title of my thing was a joke. But Fahrenheit, that's a different thing, right? That was something, I don't know how that got, obviously the guy's name is Fahrenheit. But I don't know the history of that. I don't really care to learn the history, and I don't care. We're not going to use it anymore anyway. So, but now they actually, it was, they picked the boiling point and freezing point of water as the range. But now they have redefined that, and they use Kelvin. This Kelvin scale uses the same steps, the same, each degree increase is the same as Celsius. Kelvin and Celsius use the same steps for degrees, except that Kelvin 0 is absolute 0. And absolute 0 is the lowest temperature you can get when you define temperature a certain way. It's the lowest temperature that you can have, that matter can be at. And that would be no motion. Temperature is motion, essentially, right? So they defined it. Let me find that here in my article. I should have this up on the screen, actually, shouldn't I? Did they say Celsius? Yeah, I don't know where it is here. Yeah, here it is. Okay. And his scale was based on 0 for free. Okay, so throughout the 19th century, the scale was based on 0 for freezing. I'm reading a Wikipedia article here. And 100 C for the boiling point of water. And then around the second half of the 20th century, they tried to get more precise, definitions of what it is. And they picked the triple point of water. Let's say the precise definition of the unit degree Celsius and the Celsius temperature scale used absolute 0 and the triple point of water. So when it was first done, when they first figured out the scale, right back in the 18th century, it was just boiling point water and freezing point water. Then they calibrated it onto the triple point of water, which is where, which is kind of a complicated thing. I have difficulty understanding it. I mean, it's conceptually it's a simple thing, right? But I don't know, for some reason that particular thing is difficult for me to get, but it's where water, the triple point of water would be the point where you get to a certain temperature and a certain pressure where water will exist in the three main phases of solid, liquid, and vapor. All three of those. That could be any of them. It could go either way depending upon what, if you change the pressure, temperature, whatever. That's called the triple point of water, and they calibrated it to that, which now is so 0 Celsius would be the triple point of water at a certain pressure. And then after, let's see, it says since 2007, the Celsius temperature scale has been defined in terms of the Kelvin, and base unit of temperature. Absolute zero, the lowest temperature is now defined as being okay. So now what they do is they define to calibrate the Celsius scale to a more definite physical phenomenon, which is zero movement, 0 Kelvin. They say that the Celsius is that absolute zero is minus 273.15 degrees Celsius. So that's what they calibrated on now. So I don't know. That's kind of a bunch of stuff you don't need to know. But anyway, converting from Celsius to Fahrenheit is a big deal. I mean, it's a problem that at least in the U.S. we're more and more going to have to deal with it. If you're online, I assume you're online. Okay. You're noticing. You're seeing people from all over the world, and you're getting. When I grew up, we didn't have to deal with, unless you were in science and technology and stuff. You didn't have to deal with Celsius, right? You knew it was there, and you knew all those foreigners used it from the American perspective, right? That's what Americans thought. Oh, all those foreigners use that for Celsius, So that's how it was when I grew up. But now we're online. We're all connected. We get the world is a lot smaller. You're seeing posts. You're seeing people talking stuff about, God, it was so hot. It was over 40 degrees, and in the United States, 40. That's cold. That's not that. So it's eventually, people in the U.S. You're gonna have to learn. You're gonna have to learn what that means. What the Celsius scale is. And how to relate it to Fahrenheit. So let me bring up. I found a little scale. This isn't as good as isn't quite what I was looking for, but it should work for me to explain a little bit. So click this. Did that work? Yep. Cool. Okay. Oh, I have the wrong screen up over here. There we go. All right, let me make sure my mic is still on because I just did some stuff. Okay, it appears to be on, so good. We got a thunderstorm starting over here. You probably can't hear it on the mic yet, but if one strikes very close, you'll hear it. Or you might see flashes in the background. I left the door open there, so you might see flashes and stuff. So we're having a thunderstorm here. So this scale, does my little mouse show up here? No, does it show up? Yeah, there it is. Okay, good. So, which way am I looking? Yeah, this way I should look, right? Yeah, it's over here. I'm trying to get oriented here in my video. So they've got the exact temperature dialed in here too. That's a good one to reference it. So there are a couple ways. I mean, mathematically, the way to calculate, to go from Celsius to Fahrenheit, is you multiply by 1.8 and then add 32. So it's pretty simple. And what that works out to be is that every 9 degrees, every 5 degrees of Celsius is equal to 9 degrees of Fahrenheit. So if the temperature goes up 5 degrees Celsius, then in Fahrenheit, whatever that was, it would go up 9 degrees. The ratio is 5 to 9. And then when you're calculating it, sometimes it might make more sense to say that that is 10 to 18. So for every 10 degrees of Celsius, then it would be 18 degrees of Fahrenheit. So that makes it a little bit easier. And that's where that 1.8 came from when at the beginning, right when I said that your temperature Celsius times 1.8 plus 32 degrees. The plus 32 degrees is freezing, right? In Fahrenheit, instead of having a scale adjusted to 0 for freezing, it's adjusted to 32 degrees for freezing. And what is it, 212 or something or close to it for boiling. So if all you need to do, and most of you this will be good enough, I think, if you want to just, like when people are talking about, you hear the Celsius, what the temperature is Celsius, you're going to hear it, mostly what the temperature is outside or in your room or whatever. It's going to be within this range for most places. Here in New Hampshire, it goes much lower than minus 10. It goes a lot lower. It goes way below 0 here. So that's why I wanted a scale that went a little bit further, but this is what we got. So, and for most people, this should be enough, I think. But one way to just figure it, to do it, is to kind of remember what these numbers are. And there are mnemonics that you can use to remember these numbers. But 20 degrees is 68. That's a good one to remember. Well, 0 is 32, right? You understand that. 32 is the freezing point of water. And in Celsius, zero is the freezing point. So 0 is 32 in Celsius. So that's, that one, right? That's automatic, right? That's how it works. I mean, that's what's pretty easy to remember. But another point you can look at here is 20 degrees. 20 degrees is 68. So if you just remember 68, 20 degrees, that's pretty easy to remember. And then you can go from there. For every 10 degrees it changes in Celsius, you change 18 degrees for Fahrenheit. And one way to add 18 to a number, if you have difficulty doing math in your head, and adding 18 over and over, because it can get, because it's more difficult for some people who are not familiar with doing math in their head all the time. One way to think of it is to add 20 and then subtract 2. That might be a little bit easier for you to do in your head. So if you think, okay, if you go from 20 degrees here to 30 degrees, so if you go up 10 degrees, so you'd need to go up 18 degrees to go on the Fahrenheit side. So one way to figure that out is to go, okay, 68. We know that 20 degrees is 68. So if you wanted to go to 30 degrees, that's 10, right? 10 more degrees in Celsius is 18 more degrees in Fahrenheit. So if you say 68 plus 20 minus 2, so 68 plus 20 is 88. That's pretty easy to do in your head, right? 68 plus 88 or 68 plus 20 is 88. That's easy. And then subtract 2 is 86. And then once you get that dialed in, you go, oh, okay, 30. 30 is 86. And that's pretty easy to remember. 30 is 86. And then 40, same thing, right? If you added 18 to 86, that's going to be 106 minus 2 is 104. See how I did that? 86 plus 20 is 106. Minus 2 is 104. And one way to remember 40 as a number. Now this method I'm giving you here, if the temperature is exactly 20 or 30 or 10 degrees Celsius, then you can figure it out pretty easily. And for most cases, you don't need the exact number, because you're going to find that if you do this exact conversion on most of the temperatures in Celsius, you're going to get something point something, right? It's going to be a decimal, and that's confusing. You don't need that accurate. If somebody's just telling you, gee, it's hot outside, it's 33 degrees, then you don't need to figure that out exactly in Fahrenheit. All you have to do is dial it in a little bit to get a feel for what you're familiar with in the U.S. in terms of Fahrenheit temperature. There you go. Did you hear that? I don't know if you can hear that thunder out there. Yeah. So and then once so we figured out we get 20 is 68, right? That's easy. 30 is 86. All right, that's 86. I can remember 86. Right. 40 is 104. Now that one's easy to remember because you can think, okay, when somebody says, it's almost 40 degrees or it's 40 degrees or whatever, that's hot. That's really, really hot. Doesn't get that hot very often, very many places. So 40 degrees is really hot. And you think, okay, that's really hot is over 100 degrees. So how much over? Then you got 4 in 40, so it's 104. So that's a little bit easy to remember too. And in 50 is 122. It's not going to get 50 degrees very often. So once you get those dialed in, then when somebody says one of these numbers, if they said it was 33 degrees, then you're going to go, well, 30 is 86, so it must be over 86 degrees. That kind of dials it in. If you want to dial it in a little bit closer, you can say 33 degrees. That's 30 plus 3 degrees, right? 3 more degrees over 30 in Celsius. And if you just want to ballpark it, get kind of close, just double the 3, and you get 6 more. So it'd be 86 plus 6 is 92, right? That's not exactly it, but it's pretty close. So that's a way to do it. If you wanted to convert it exactly, I gave you the formula, but it's hard to do in your head. You got to use a calculator. But this way you can kind of get a feel for it. There's only a few numbers that you really need to remember, and if you forget what the numbers are, you can figure them out even without even looking at it. If you're out and hiking around somewhere or something, or somewhere where you don't have a calculator, or don't know what the scale is or anything, you can figure it out on your own. You can. Even if all you know is that 0 in Celsius is 32 Fahrenheit, you can figure out everything else, even in your head, because you can just say, every 10 degrees is 18 degrees Fahrenheit. So you can just add 18 that many times. If you wanted to calculate it exactly in your head, you can do it. Some people can do it. I can do it. I can't do it very quickly, but I can do it. You can use that formula, and the way to multiply by 1.8 is to, just as I said before, it's kind of the same way. You multiply by 2. And then subtract 10% from that result. And that would be the same as going 1.8. And that's a little bit easier to calculate. It's hard to multiply some arbitrary number times 1.8. That's kind of hard to do in your head for most people. So let's figure it out here. We'll do one in our head here. So let's say it's 24, okay? 24 degrees. Okay? So if you wanted to convert that to Fahrenheit, you multiply by 2. So that would be 48. Then you subtract 10% from that. And if you're ballparking it, you can just subtract 5, right? But we'll do it exactly. So 24 times 2 is 48. So subtract 10% from 48. If it would be, let's see, 48 minus 4 is 44, and minus 0.8 is 43.2. Right? See how we dialed in on that? 43.2. Then 43.2 times or plus 32, right? We've got to add 32 to that number. So 43.8 times or plus 32. Now this is where it gets a little bit more difficult. 43 plus 32 is 75. If I did that right, 75.8. So that should be correct. I hope that's the right answer, or else I totally screwed up here. But that sounds like that's right. Well, let me do it on my calculator just to make sure. You guys probably already, if you're watching this and you're interested in this, I can't believe there are that many people interested in this. But if you wanted to, so let me just. What did I say? 24 times 1.8, and I said that was 43.2. That's right. 43.2 plus 32. Now I forget what my answer was. 75.2. Is that what I said it was? I forget. Maybe I said the wrong number. I think that I forgot now I forgot if that's the answer that I gave or not. But anyway, you get the idea. Most cases you don't need to do it exactly, and if you're going to be doing it exactly, then you're probably going to have a calculator anyway. But when you're just out and about or just hearing people saying stuff, if you could just remember these few little numbers here, 68, 86, 104, then you can dial it in. And 10 is 50. That's easy, And 032, that's the defining thing of the scale, right? So anyway, that's way more than you needed to know on how to do that. But what we're talking about here is temperature, right? I mean, that's it's heat. It's the motion of molecules and atoms or whatever. So that's energy, and energy is a big deal right now, right? Energy. Everybody wants to stay cool right now because it's summer, at least in the northern hemisphere. Folks in the southern hemisphere are in winter right now. So, you want to stay warm or you want to stay cold in your home, and there are lots of ways to do that. And I want to talk a little bit about that too. I'm recently been using a lot of energy because I changed the configuration of my setup here in order to do streaming, and I've got a computer here that's spewing out a whole bunch of heat because it's a more I'm using more processing power than I would use just to browse online. So and a lot of you play games and stuff like that, so your computers are probably producing a whole ton of heat. So in winter, that's pretty good. You can help your computer can help you stay warm. You just point the exhaust fan of your computer at you while you're playing it, and you can stay warm that way. But in the summer, that extra heat, you have to use more energy to get that out of the house with your air conditioner. Oh yeah, you can see those flashes, can't you? From that. Oh God, it's raining a lot. It's really coming down. Oh my goodness. It's really raining again out there, Mike. Huh. So yeah, you want to in the summer you got to get the heat out of the house, and that's with air conditioning. That's electricity. So one way to use less energy to keep your place cool, if you live somewhere where you need to use air conditioning, is to try to increase the thermal mass of inside your building. So if you're or your house or whatever, wherever you're at, thermal mass is kind of an informal way of describing the heat capacity of a material, the specific heat capacity, and then the mass of that, which I forget. I think you just say heat capacity. I think it's just the term for the mass times the specific heat capacity. So material, different material takes different amount of heat in order to raise its temperature. So if you had, certain things only take a little bit of heat in order to heat them up, whereas other things like water take a lot of heat in order to raise their temperature. You have to put a lot of energy into it in order to raise its temperature. So if you have a lot, and what I do is I just use jugs of water and just put them in cabinets or anywhere around to add heat mass thermal mass inside my house. So that way the temperature doesn't vary so quickly. If you've ever lived in a desert or areas where there's not a lot of moisture, you'll notice that it at night it cools down really quickly and it gets really cold, and in a day it heats up really fast. That's because there's not as much water around to absorb that heat. So if you have a lot of water in your house, in jugs or anywhere, another thing, books, paper, that kind of stuff too. If you, people don't have books anymore so much, but yeah, if you have jugs of water all over the place, when at night, say at night, when you're in the winter and you have your house warm, and maybe you've opened up the windows during the day and let the sun heat up your inside of your house, then at night, during the day, that heat will be absorbed by the water, and water can hold a lot of heat, as I just said. It takes a lot of heat to heat up water, which means there's a lot of heat in the water. All right. So when the sun goes down and it gets colder in the evening, then that heat and your room temperature goes down. Then the heat that was stored in that water during the day will start being released. Right. That's entropy. Right. Heat wants to flow from something that's hot into something that's cold next to it, where it can flow. So when that happens, when your room cools down in the evening, then the heat in that water gets released, and it helps to warm up your house and keep it from getting too cold at night. And when you do that, then you're able to then you don't have to use heating as much in the winter, and in reverse in the summer. Right, same thing happens in the summer. You open up the windows at night, cool down your house. The heat in the water in your thermal mass in your house gets released and goes out the window. And in the morning or when it starts warming up outside, you close up your windows. You try to insulate as much as possible, and then the water that you have in your thermal mass will absorb the heat as your house heats up during the day. So you have to, so you maybe can wait longer to turn on your AC. So it's a huge way. It's a great way to save energy that people don't think about and don't know about that much. But it's really effective. It can really save you a lot of electricity to do that. So if you want to save money on electricity, this is a way to do it. A real simple way. Just take recycled bottles, anything that'll hold water, and keep it around the house somewhere. Just you can put it in drawers and shelves anywhere. I've taken them and you can put food coloring in them, and it looks a little bit. You can have different colors and stuff, and use it as decoration. There's lots of you can be creative with this, and just get as much thermal mass as possible in your house. And you'll save a ton of energy that way. And then of course do the other things. When it cools down enough at night, open the windows. Maybe put a fan in the window to blow the air through your house. Here in New Hampshire, we're known as the Granite State, and which means granite has a natural uranium in it, which the case series of uranium ends up getting to radon, which is an issue for if you live somewhere where there's a lot of granite, you're going to have radon in your home, and that's an issue, right? It's a health issue. So we have to blow out our houses. Even in the winter, we got to blow out our houses in order to keep the radon away, unless you really seal up your house, and that's kind of hard to do. So yeah. And if you do that every night anyway, you're gonna blow out the radon along with the heat. So that's what I do in the evening. Now we've had a few days here where it's been so hot. It is hot and humid right now. I mean, even with this thunderstorm out there, I'm sure it's still over 70 degrees out there. And then with the humidity on top of that, it's been so hot that I haven't been able to open up the windows at night to cool it down. Maybe I might be able to do that tonight. I don't know. We'll see. So that means I got to run the AC, and the only way I'm going to get the heat out of the house is to use an air conditioner. What else is you got to insulate in in the winter. I've got huge, pretty big windows here, all throughout the house actually, and in the winter it's good to cover your windows if you can. Certainly at night you want to cover up your windows so that you don't leak heat out. These windows are pretty good. They're double insulated and all that kind of stuff, but they still leak heat, So sometimes I put up. Have you ever seen these? These Mylar sheets. The runners wear these Mylar emergency blankets, or whatever they call them. It's a thin Mylar that really reflects heat. So I just hang them in the windows here when it gets minus 20 or whatever, and I really got to try to keep the heat in the house. I just hang Mylar over the windows, and that reflects the heat inside the house back into the house again, so it doesn't leak out as quickly. And it reflects like 94% or something like that, so it's really effective. And you can use that for insulation. It's probably not rated for whatever code you have in your area. It's probably not doesn't meet flammability you require. I don't know. Who knows what? It probably doesn't meet the regulations, but who cares, right? It keeps you warm, saves energy. And you can use that Mylar in all kinds of different. I mean, you can use it in your bed. If you don't like real heavy covers on you at night, you can use the Mylar instead. Just put, or even put Mylar in between blankets or sheets or whatever. So I mean, there's lots of ways that you can use Mylar to stay warm. You can also use it to stay cool if it gets too hot outside, or you want to block the sun from coming in. It'll reflect the sun rather than, I mean, if you just put curtains up on the inside, the sun's going to come through the window and hit the curtain, and the curtain will heat up, and then the heat gets reduced in your house anyway. A lot of it, right? So some of it will go radiate back out, but a lot of it will come back in. So it's good to reflect it before it even gets in the house. So that's some ways to save energy, which is kind of really important for folks in Europe right now who have really high gas prices. I haven't used gas in a long time, just by using a series of techniques to, and that's here in I haven't used my furnace in over a dozen years. I haven't turned on the furnace here, and it gets down to minus 20 and 30 degrees here, just by using ambient heat from the computers and stuff like that. And I have one heat pump that I use, and I only use that a few days in the winter. So you can save a lot of money, and you can yeah. If you're in Europe, you should talk to your leaders about getting people to encourage them to do that. But of course, there's no, politically, there's no incentive, right? There's nobody who, maybe installations, people who sell insulation might be able to lobby your politicians or something. But I mean, it's conservation is not something there aren't a lot of lobbyists lobbying politicians to encourage people or to implement policies that conserve things. They want to spend more. They want to make the economy go more, right? They want to sell their product or whatever. So, but we don't have to do that, right? We can talk to each other and tell each other about these techniques and use these techniques and to hell with them, right? We'll stop climate change ourselves, if they won't do it. So that's a way to save energy, and then another big deal is your car, right? Your car. Now this is a little bit different, but it does have to do with global warming, right? That's temperature. So or climate change. Now they're calling it, but it's temperature, right? It's temperature's going up. It's been hot, so. Yeah, your car. Don't drive your car if you got one of those cars that's old-fashioned cars that use gasoline and spew stuff out into the air, and gasoline gets on your hands and smells and gives you cancer and all that stuff. Don't drive that car. If you got a gasoline car, don't drive it. If you can avoid it. I mean, it's best if you can. Certainly, the next time you buy a car, make it an electric car. If you today, all right, starting now, if you go out and the next car you buy is a gasoline car, then you don't give a shit about the climate. You're just blowing smoke if you're saying that you don't want climate change. And I bought my electric cars. The prices are coming down. I bought my electric car over 5 years ago, and I got it for less than $5,000. You don't have to buy a new car. You can buy there are lots of used electric cars out there if you don't have enough money. So there's no excuse not to get an electric car. And I live in New Hampshire, which is probably one of the worst places in the world in terms of infrastructure for electric vehicles. I have a let me see if I can. Yeah, I have a okay. I got my browser up here. Is this working? Yeah. I want to show you something about how screwed up it is in New Hampshire for let's see, plug share for electric vehicle owners. Is this gonna work? Yeah. Alright, let's see here. God, I hope this doesn't leak any stuff here on me. I don't think it knows my IP here. Block whatever you're doing here. I want to block that. Let's see. So we zoom in here on New Hampshire, and I'll type in see here, filters, because you know, there are lots. You can find lots of charging stations, but they're this level 2 slow chargers. If you want a charging station, it should be at least. Let me do a kilowatt range here. Should be at least 50, or say 100. I don't know. Let's try 100 and see what, and then we'll go from there. 100 kilowatts, and then you go to. Okay, you don't have a Tesla because you're not wealthy. So let's let's see here. Do they have the type here? Plugs. There we go. So I'll unclick Tesla on here. So if you've got an electric car, it's not a Tesla. Okay, there's the rest of them. And you live in New Hampshire and you want a charger, or you're just driving through New Hampshire. This is what it looks like. Look at this. There's hardly anything in here. But you go down here to Massachusetts or Vermont or just about anywhere up into. Look at Canada. But here in New Hampshire is nothing, hardly. You know, you can't hardly drive, you know, anywhere. So the way to get around that, of course, my car is really old, so I don't have to worry about it so much. I mean, I do have to worry about it. People who have new cars don't have to worry about it so much because the range keeps increasing, right? They keep increasing the range of cars. You know, within a decade, we'll have cars that can go 1,000 miles without recharging. So, you know, the charging station problem is going to be less of an issue. 95% of the time, I charge at home. I rarely charge, you know, when I'm out on the road. So it's not that big of a deal. And my car has a really small range. It only has a range of, well, the manufacturer says it's 62, but I drive pretty conservatively, so I can get, you know, even now my car was made 10 years ago, over 10 years ago, and it still gets, you know, 70, 80 miles. So, but it's still not enough to get all the way through New Hampshire. But yeah, the new cars now are, you know, 300 miles, right? So 250, 300. You can get a used car with over 200 mile range, you know, for under 10,000. So I think, I don't know, I've checked the prices recently. Plus they got I think they have some rebate or something, some federal rebate. So yeah, there's no reason why you can't have an electric car, even if you live in New Hampshire, right? I'm an example of that, right? You can still have an electric car even in New Hampshire where they're hostile to anything new. So look at that. That's just crazy. So yeah, get an electric car. It's will be well worth it, and you save a ton of money on repairs. I used to, my old truck I had before I got my electric car. I mean, you know, every couple of months I'd put a couple $100 into it to repair it or whatever, you know. And my electric car, I put when I first got it. That's kind of a long story, but I got it and had an issue with the battery, so I had to have the battery replaced, the traction battery. But it was under warranty, so that didn't cost anything. And I've had new brakes put on it, and that's it, and windshield wipers. So for the 5 years I've owned it, that's it. That's all I've had to put into it. It's very, you know, it's really reliable. It's, you know, you don't have to put a bunch of repairs into it. It's safer. You know, every day, almost every day, somebody burns to death in a car accident from a gasoline-powered car. You know, there's some celebrities. Anne Hesh burned to death. in a gasoline car, you know. So it's really bad. And you don't hear about it. You know, you'll hear, oh, battery car caught on fire, blah 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 blah, blah, you know, exploded. And that's bullshit. That's so rare that it's newsworthy. You know what I'm saying? It's almost every day. I mean, every day a car explodes and catches fire in the U.S. multiple times, and almost every day somebody burns to death in a car. But you never see that, and they don't report that. You know, because they get because the you know, the oil companies just have so much influence that they control what news you hear. Electric cars, that doesn't happen. Electric car can't explode. The battery doesn't explode. You can catch fire in certain very rare instances. But it happens so slowly that you know you're out of the car by then. You know, you crashed and you know you get out of the car and then maybe it catches fire. You know, very rarely. So anyway, it's much safer to drive an electric car. Much safer, and they weigh a little bit more too. So when you talk about you know, in a collision. The car that is more massive, that has more mass in it, that is heavier, decelerates more slowly than a light car would in an accident. So it's safer in that way too. So lots of reasons why an electric car is safer than those gasoline powered cars. And it saves a ton of energy. And the reason why it saves a ton of energy is because an electric car, I mean, a gasoline car is, you know, it uses a heat engine, right? It takes the gas and it burns the gas, and the gas expands and makes the engine turn and makes the car go, right? And that's a really inefficient way to turn things, to make motion that way. It's the heat engine like that is, I think the theoretical limit is about 50%. Only 50% of the energy that you're using, that you're burning in the gas, is actually going to turn the wheels. Much less than that actually in a car, right? The maximum is 50%, so it's much less than that. The rest of it is heat. It's released as heat on your engine. It heats up the engine, and that gets released into the air. On an electric car, it's much more efficient. I don't know what it's 80% or something. It's much higher. So electric cars save a lot of energy that way. And don't listen to these things with people saying, oh, you know, the manufacturer of the electric car is going to take more energy and blah blah blah. It's a bunch of bullshit. Don't listen to that. You know, it's you got to. If you're building another gas car, it's going to take energy to build a gas car, right? and an energy car, an electric car has fewer components. And the reason why it's more expensive right now is because they're still ramping up the technology and stuff like that, you know. So it's just don't listen to any of that propaganda out there. Electric cars are much less expensive to use, to run, and everything. So that's one of the reasons why I got the electric car. I mean, I wanted to get an electric car just because it was cool first, a long time ago. And then, of course, because of the climate and because it's less expensive. So that's another way to save energy. Now, if you're not ready to buy a new car yet, or get another car, not a new car, even a used car, but if you're not ready to change to your electric car yet, you can not drive as much. Don't drive your car as much. And the best way to do that is to plan ahead. Don't, you know, drive somewhere to get a cup of coffee or to get a small amount of groceries or something like that. Plan your trips as much as possible. You know, if you're going to go out to the store, you got to go grocery shopping. Try to pick a day where you're going out anyway for something else, instead of instead of making 2 trips. You know, if you have to go, you have some other, you know, doctor's appointment or some other, you know, visit a friend or whatever it is you got to do whatever day you're doing that, plan to do your grocery shopping on that day, so you just make 1 trip. And then you can, you know, I've got my system set up here where I only have to go out like once or twice a month to get groceries. Just because I plan ahead and I you know, buy a lot of stuff. Yeah, when you go to the grocery store, buy as much as you can, or, you know, as many days worth of groceries as you can, because that way you can save trips that way. So there are a lot of ways you can do that, but just figure out how to drive less. You can walk, right? It's nice weather, summertime. So you know, a lot of times you can just walk somewhere or take a bike. Carpooling, yeah, that yeah, for work. Most people work at home now, I guess now. So so yeah, there are a lot of different ways to cut down your driving. So just be conscious of it. You know, just think about it. You know, every time you get in that car and turn the ignition and start your car, you're killing people, right? Basically, if you're driving an electric gas car, when you get in your car and turn that ignition, you're killing people. Every time you turn that thing, you're killing people because of the climate. You're killing people because countries are fighting over each other for oil. You know, just avoid driving as much as you can. So those 2 things, your house, managing your heat in your house, and driving. Those are 2 ways to save energy. 2 biggest ways to save energy. Let's see, what's another one? I made a list here. Let me see if I've got that. Yeah, you insulation. I talked about insulation a little bit. That's a little bit more complicated. Yeah, insulating your house. I talked about these Mylar things, but they have regular insulation that you can get. You know, I rent here, and I'm still able to do a little bit of stuff. You know, cover windows at least and stuff like that. But this place that I'm in is pretty well insulated anyway. Yeah, but that's a way to do it. Yeah, insulation, you know, they have R factors they use. The higher the R factor, the better insulation. And different material has different insulation. If you're able to build your own home, yeah, if you are going to build your own home, think about using the earth as an insulation, or to moderate temperatures. You can build your house, you know, into a hill or something like that, where you won't have only a small portion of it that's actually exposed to the weather, and the rest of it is covered by earth. That's a good way to do it too. And you know, there are lots of different materials that you can use for insulation. You don't have to use, you know, the insulation that you buy in hardware stores or whatever, or have people, you know, shoot foam into your thing or whatever. You don't have to do all that. You can use straw. You can use. I thought of using plastic. You know, all the plastic bottles that get recycled and everybody is concerned about. Those will make great insulation. Plastic is a really good insulator, especially like plastic bottles. When they compress them into these huge cubes and send them overseas for some reason. I don't know why they do that, but they compress them all down. That would make a really good insulator. You could, you'd have to treat it somehow so it wouldn't burn, but when you take a plastic bottle and compress it all and make it all the way flat, there's still little air gaps in there and stuff like that, which is really good. Air is one of the best insulators. But you need to make sure that it's not a large volume of air, otherwise it convects within whatever it's confined to, and then it ends up transferring the heat that way. But if you have like a whole bunch of plastic bottles that were compressed down, that would make a really good insulator. Yeah, what did I say? Hay. Yeah, wood's okay. So yeah, a lot of different ways to insulate your house. You just have to think about it. Learn a little bit about how heat transfers and thermodynamics and stuff like that, and it'll help you get dialed in how to do insulation better. Let's see if I've got something else here. Oh, clothesline, yeah. Yeah, don't use a clothes dryer. That's a real waste of energy. I haven't used a clothes dryer in close to 20 years, I think. I use clothesline all over. Yeah, I think it's been over 20 years since I've used a clothes dryer. You use a clothesline, It's the sun is free, and even if the sun isn't out, even when you can't put your clothes out, if it's raining, for a week straight, and you still need to dry your clothes, you can hang them indoors, or get a little clothes drying rack or something like that. And when it's I found that when it's compared to when I used to use a dryer, it would take a certain amount of time to do it. But I can put my clothes out if it's a sunny day and it's not too humid. I can put my clothes out and dry them in less than half an hour out on a clothes dryer. So that's not that's not an excuse to say, oh, it takes too long. Just plan ahead. It's not that hard. So yeah, don't use a clothes dryer. That's just one of the worst things. It's just a total waste of energy and everything else. And if you say, oh, my clothes are wrinkly, so what? Wear wrinkly clothes. And if the wind is blowing outside, one, it dries more quickly, but it also takes the wrinkles out of your clothes, just like a tumble them in a clothes dryer would do. So there's no excuse. Everybody should be using clothes dryers. Nobody should be using a clothes dryer. They should be using a clothesline, just hanging them on a clothesline. I have a what they call a hill hoist, which is one of those things that are circular. They rotate and you can hang them. Anyway, so lots of different ways you can do it. You don't need to waste energy. What else I got in here? Oh, solar panels. Yeah, that's another thing. If you can install solar, if it makes sense for you, that's a good thing to do. That saves a lot of energy, and it's come down. The price of solar has gone way down, so that's a way to save energy. It doesn't have to do with heat. We were talking about temperature, but kind of indirectly, I guess. Insulate your hot water heater if you have. If you have an on-demand heater, that's the best way. Water heater. Solar water heater is really good. That's kind of complicated to install and maintain and stuff, though. But if you have a water tank type heater, then insulate it. As much as possible. They sell special insulators, but you can just use blankets or whatever. Just be careful that you don't put the insulator. If you're using something that might be flammable, don't put it around the anywhere where the if you have a flame, like a gas powered one. Don't put it anywhere where it would catch fire, but just make sure it's really insulated, really, really good. Just put as many layers as you can around your hot water heater, because that's a huge way of leaking energy is with a hot water heater. So if you do that, you can really save a lot of energy that way. And as I said earlier, it takes a lot of energy to heat up water, right? So hot water heaters hot water heaters in a tank takes a ton of energy to heat up all that energy in that tank. So, and if you heat it up and just let it sit without, the energy would leak out very quickly. And also the temperature. If you can keep the temperature of the water as low as possible, not just because it takes less energy to get up to that temperature, but also because the lower the temperature of the water in the water heater, the more slowly the heat will leak out of the water heater. So you save twice as much that way, or not twice, but doubly. There are two reasons for keeping the water temperature lower. And also, if you're like going to be away, or you don't need hot water for a little while, or for whatever reason, you can just shut it off, for a few days. That's another thing you can do. Or use electric. Of course, it's not good to use fossil fuels at all. So if you can get your hot water heated through electricity somehow, that would be good. And on demand is the best, because then it's not leaking energy hardly at all, right? Because you don't have a big storage tank of hot water that's leaking energy all the time. It's just heated on demand, and you use it right away. What else? Oh, you can save, like in the winter, if you want more heat in your house, right? In the winter, it's cold outside, and you want to conserve heat. Then when you take your shower or use water in a sink or whatever, save that water as long as possible. In the sink, you can plug up the sink. You wash your hands in the sink. You should be washing your hands in cold water anyway, because that's not a big. In the winter, maybe sometimes it's kind of hard. But like a shower, if you take a shower, plug it up, the drain, so that you can hold as much water as possible in the shower. If it's just a shower, you can hold a little bit. But if it's like a tub shower type situation, you can plug it up, and all your shower water you can store in the tub, and that heat then will be released into the room. And after a few hours or whatever, however long you can wait for that heat to be released in the room, then you can pull the drain and let the water go down. So letting hot water down a drain in the winter when you're trying to stay warm, that's not good. That's a waste of energy. So anything you can do to keep that hot water from going down the drain when you're trying to stay warm in the winter, you want to do that. You want to conserve that. In the summer, of course, you don't want that hot water. You don't want that heat released into the air as much. So you want that to go down the drain, which is kind of a waste. But in the summer, you don't need as hot a water to take a shower anyway. It feels better to take a cooler shower in the summer. So those are some more tips. Whatever tips we have here. Yeah, build your homes. Yeah. Another thing when you're driving, I was talking about not driving so much, but when you do have to drive somewhere, slow down. Drive as slow as you possibly can, because the faster you drive, the more the less efficient it is. I don't know if you probably know that just because people talk about that, or maybe not. I don't know. But when you drive faster, not only are you burning more energy per time, but you're burning more energy per mile when you're driving faster. So let's say you're getting. I use most people are familiar with miles per gallon, right? Or kilometers per liter, or whatever it is. We're talking a lot of U.S. stuff here today, so I'll use miles per gallon. if your car gets 30 miles per gallon at 40, when you're driving 40 miles per hour, then maybe it only gets 20 miles per gallon at 60, something like that, or 65 or 70, and the increment goes up. So it's like it's the main reason is because of the drag on the car, the wind, the air drag on the car. You're pushing your car through the air. If there was no air and there was no other friction, you would, once you got up to speed, you could just coast, right, like they do in space, right? There would be nothing to slow it down. The reason why when you're driving along and you take your foot off the gas pedal, the reason why you start to slow down is because of the air drag on the car mostly, and a little bit from the wheels and the road and stuff. So the way that drag works, that wind resistance and drag works, is it goes up exponentially, or geometrically, exponentially. So the increase in drag between, say, 30 and 40 miles per hour maybe is this much, but then if you go from 30 or from 40 to 50, then it's this much more. You know what I'm saying? A lot more. And then from 50 to 60, then it's this much more. It goes up. The faster you go, each increase in miles per hour is even more than the last mile per hour increase. So it's really important to drive slowly if you can. Plan your trip ahead, plan things ahead of time, do whatever you need to do to drive more slowly. First, don't drive at all if you can, and when you do have to drive, plan ahead and drive as slowly as possible. And it's not, and you don't, I when I was young, I used to drive really fast, and there was no reason for it, and it's safer, a lot of reasons, right? So you'll get a much better gas mileage, you'll save money, save the planet, right? Drive slowly, slow down. So that's, and if you don't save that much time when you think about it. If you calculate the whole thing out, especially when you're driving, where there are stoplights and things that might delay you along the way anyway, you maybe save 3 minutes or something. It's not that much difference to drive more slowly. So slow down, don't drive if you can, and get an electric car as soon as you can. Let me see what else I got here. Clotheslines, whatever notes did I make here? I think I mentioned a heat pump. If you can get a heat pump, that's much better than using a furnace. To burn oil or whatever, or gas. A heat pump is basically, it's like an air conditioner, but it works in reverse. If you're familiar with like window air conditioners, you got a window air conditioner that you use to cool down your house. If you go outside and you feel the air coming off of that air conditioner, it's hot, right? Have you ever done that? The air on the back of a window air conditioner like that is hot. That's because what the air conditioner is doing is it isn't putting cold into the room, it's taking the heat out of the room. It's a heat pump. An air conditioner is a heat pump, but it's pumping the heat from inside the house to the outside. That's what it does. Maybe one time I'll do a stream on how. Let me change this back here. Maybe one day I'll do a stream on how a heat pump works and how an air conditioning works, because it's kind of a fascinating thing. It's kind of interesting how they work. But that's basically what they did. An air conditioning is a heat pump. It pumps the heat from inside the house to the outside. And what a heat pump does is just like taking a if you put the air conditioner and installed it backwards so that it was blowing stuff outside, it would be pumping heat from the outside to the inside. See how that is? And so what a heat pump does is it pumps heat from the outside to the inside using the same process as an air conditioner would use. But it's kind of designed that way, to work that way. So it's set up so it's efficient, can do it efficiently and all that. If you tried to do that with a window air conditioner, it wouldn't work too well because it's not really designed for those to work at those temperatures and stuff. But also a heat pump can be used as an air conditioner very simply. That just with a few little design things, they can put a couple valves in there to the way they circulate the coolant and stuff inside the heat pump. It can be designed so it'll work as either a heat pump that pumps heat from outside inside, or as an air conditioner that pumps heat from inside to outside. So and it's it's just much more efficient than burning oil or or gas or anything. And it's and fossil fuels are bad. They're just really screwing things up. So yeah, if you get a heat pump instead of using a furnace, and of course the other things I talked about, all those other thermal mass and insulation and all that, then you can avoid using your heat pump too, because the ideal way to do it is just to avoid having to expend energy to heat or cool your home in the first place. So yeah, let me see if there's anything else here on my list. Oh shit, I lost my... and it's good to learn about just how thermodynamics works, how energy works. It's all about heat. Really, it's about the heat and the way that heat transfers. And it transfers through the air, through convection, or it transfers through radiation. It can just through the air, same way as light, radio waves, and all that heat. That's what heat, radiated heat is. It's electromagnetic wave. So that's and what's the other way? Conduction, they call it. And those are. I mean, it's all. When you look at it on a quantum level, it's all EM. It's a electromagnetic. But yeah, those are the three ways on a macro. In our normal way that we live, that it transfers is through convection, through the air, and that's why at night in the summer you open up your windows, the breeze flows through your house. That's convection. It's convecting that heat out, and then an insulation that helps it from radiating or conducting out. So yeah, learn about how thermodynamics work, and that will really help you in thinking about how to manage, the heating and cooling of your house, or anything else really. Yeah, another way is cool water. Keep some water in your refrigerator, and then when you get too warm, then you you have cool water, any cool drink, and that helps you cool down inside, because you're inside your body. What is it? 37 degrees is what it is. 38 degrees. That your body temperature is 38, I guess. Is your body temperature. That's pretty warm. So if you can take something that's really cold, cold water, and put that into your body, you're first of all you're taking something that's cold and you're flowing it into your body, and then the heat in your body is flowing into that fluid that you just put into your stomach, so you don't feel as hot that way. It's pulling, and it's very efficient. So that's a good way to stay warm too. Is just drink plenty of cool, very cold water. Let's see what else I got here. Oh yeah, be vegan. Yeah, that's really important. That's kind of way off of the. We're talking about temperatures, but yeah, if you want to save energy and save the planet and all that, yeah, going vegan. You've probably heard that before. How much more energy it takes to produce animal products usually, because it's more efficient, right? If we eat the plants, that's more efficient than having some other animal eat the plant and then us eat the animal. It's just there's lots of reasons for being vegan. So that's another way to save energy, and help save the planet. What else we got here? I guess that's it. Covering windows. Yeah, I think I've got those are most of the tips that I have. There are probably other ones out there. Those are ones that I could think of. But yeah, it's not that hard. I mean, we could, they talk about these goals and all this, and how they're doing these policies and all that. I mean, we can just do it ourselves. We don't have to have politicians do it. Just do it ourselves. We don't have to have them argue about this for the next 30 years. While the planet dies and people. The planet isn't going to die, but it's going to get. What's going to happen is. We're already seeing places, India and Arab Peninsula and other areas. It's getting so hot that people can hardly live there anymore. So they're going to have to relocate. And so there's going to be a lot of, and for lots of, not just the heat, but also right the sea coast. There's going to be more people who can't live on the sea coast, so they're going to have to relocate. A lot of people are going to be migrating and relocating. And there's also the the struggle. The fossil fuel companies, they're going to fight this whole thing. They're going to continue to fight it. We're going to have wars over and over this continually, and that's going to displace people. This war in Gaza. That's a war about fossil fuels. People don't know that. There's a gas field that was discovered off the coast of Gaza, and that's why. This is my opinion, my conjecture is that they discovered this gas field off the coast of Gaza 10 or 20 years ago. I forget when it was, and they've been trying to develop it. And they were just months away. They were right on the verge of exploiting it and putting that gas onto the market. And suddenly, there's a war. Right, exactly, northern Gaza. That's where it was. That's where the gas field is located, off the coast of northern Gaza. Gee, isn't that a coincidence that there's a war that causes Israel to take over that area? So yeah, almost all the wars that we have are because of fossil fuels, and it causes people to have to relocate. It's going to be more and more and more now, and that's gonna cause people. We're not used to. A lot of people don't understand how to deal with new people coming into their area, so it's difficult. That's another thing we should probably do, maybe on a policy level or even on an individual level, is just try to get people used to people migrating. Accept people who migrate, you know, because there are going to be a lot more coming up, and if we don't get used to that and don't understand that, it's just going to cause more conflict and more people are going to get killed. So, yeah, I didn't mean to get so political, so opinionated. It was supposed to be a science thing, but we got there. So yeah, try to save as much as you can. In the U.S., learn Celsius, because you're going to have to learn it eventually. I guess that's it. I can't think of anything else here. Yeah, try to encourage people to build charging stations if you can. That's going to happen just through market pressures, except in New Hampshire, where they don't do that. They don't allow the market to function very well. Yeah, the whole live free and die thing, that's, you know, yeah, live free and die unless it steps on the toes of an incumbent industry of some sort. Then don't live free or die. Let's see. Oh yeah, look at that. Okay, I gotta go over here. Let's see here. How do I do this here? Okay, let's see if that worked. No. Got some maintenance here to do, sorry. Just try to understand this. Click to apply. How am I supposed to do this here? Oh, I see. I went on the wrong mode here. Sorry about this. Let's see. Settings. Settings. Huh. Oh, here we go. Okay. Turn on shield mode. Mod view. I'm still learning how to do this stuff, so this is kind of a new thing for me. And I'm using this computer here, this other computer that's kind of slow, so I gotta wait for it to load all this stuff as I try to get this to work. Okay. Oh, I guess it went away. Okay. Yeah, sorry for the delay here as I try to get this figured out. I think I got it, but I can't tell. I'm waiting for my computer to reload this page here. This is incredibly slow. There we go. Yeah, I think I got rid of it. So. All right. So, let's see. In terms of what's coming up, planning. Let's see. I think I want to do because we can't just keep doing on this movie thing, doing sci-fi movies or whatever. I can't just do public domain stuff all the time. So I think what I'm going to do on Wednesday is do a movie review. A movie review or a explainer or something like that on a movie. And if that works out, okay, then I can do that every Wednesday. But that might be a way that we can at least talk about movies, and stuff. I mean, maybe what I should do is let me pick, what would be a good movie to to review. I gotta think of a good movie that would be good to review. I'd like to at some point do Cloud Atlas, which was a recent film. Let's see when that was, so I can give you the information on that. Cloud Atlas. It's a 2012 film. That's one of my that's my new favorite film. It used to be 2001 used to be my favorite film for a long time. It still is, but this Cloud Atlas is just really something else. It's quite a movie. I'd like to do a review on it at some point. It's really tough. It's really demanding to watch, so I'd like to do an explainer on it. It's kind of a long film, so it might not make sense to actually try to watch it on stream, even if I could legally. But to review it, I'd like to do that at some point. So if you hear this VOD, or maybe I'll mention it several other times, try to go out and watch that movie, because if I do an explainer on it, that's going to be a spoiler. So, but it's kind of if you haven't seen it, and you go out and watch it, just understand that you probably won't understand it the first time you watch it, or a lot of it you won't understand. So you'll need to just be ready for that. That's all I can say. That it's going to be hard to understand that movie, but it's once you get it figured out, it's a really cool movie. It's one of the best movies in a long time that I've seen. And it takes a couple times to watch it, and because it's a long movie, it takes a lot of time. Period, to get it. But it's a good. It's the message is good, and it's it's a good movie. So I'd like to do a breakdown on that, and an explainer, review, whatever on that film at some point. So if you want to watch my stream, and you're into this movie thing that we're doing, if you can try to watch that film, and then I can do an explainer on it. But this Wednesday, I'm not sure which one to do. I'll have to pick something that everybody has seen, maybe iRobot. That was kind of a interesting one. Now that we've got AI and all that stuff, yeah, that would be good. That'd be a good one to do. Let me write that down. I'll do iRobot on Wednesday. So I'll do a review and breakdown of iRobot. It's not that hard to understand. It was kind of a general movie. It's pretty straightforward what was going on there, but we can still talk about it anyway and review it and all that. Compare it to the Asimov story and all that. Man, could you hear that? Can you hear that through this mic? Wow, that was good. It's still crashing. Wow. That was a loud one. Okay, so yeah, Wednesday coming up. I don't know what we're gonna do in between now and Wednesday. There might be another stream in between there somewhere. Can't think of anything else. So I don't think I have any viewers right now. Maybe I do. I think maybe there's one person out there. I don't think I have enough to do a raid. Oh, I have 2 people. Maybe I can do a raid. Let's see here. If I can figure this thing out. A raid channel. Here we go. Okay. Boy, this is really. bunch of people out there, but I don't know who to. That doesn't work. Alright, let me go over here. Wait, I got this figured out. I got it figured out. Oh, earworms out there. Let's see. Are there any science people? I don't think there are any science people out there. Oh, there we go. Ivan Neo is out there. He's got too. He's got too many people. I don't want to. I don't want to raid him with 2 people. All right. Now, let me see. I raided Erum recently. He's my first raid, actually. Let me see how many people I have out here. I think there are only 2 people watching right now. Maybe people didn't get the joke on the title. When I said convert centigrade to Celsius, they probably said, "What an idiot! I don't want to watch him." Let's see. Well, we have 2 people. I don't know. Okay, will you guys stick with me, and we'll raid Ivan Neo right before he goes out, because we started almost the same time. All right. Oops. Let's see here. Let's see if this is going to work. Oh, we only got 1. Okay, forget the raid. I lost my other one. Okay, we won't read. Okay, then we'll just take off here. So I appreciate you guys joining me, and the VOD watchers. Thank you for sticking through this whole VOD with me mumbling and going off on tangents and talking about a bunch of weird stuff. There was some actual useful information in there, buried in there somewhere. And it wasn't too long. It was less than 2 hours I was on, so that's by Twitch standards, 2 hours is not a very long time to sit and watch people spew their stuff. So I appreciate you joining the channel. Hit the follow button if you can. Yeah, if you're watching on a VOD, go ahead and hit the follow button. You don't need to be watching it live to hit the follow, but just go ahead and hit the follow button. And then the next time I stream, you should get a little reminder that notice that I'm going live, and then you can watch the stream. So, everybody take care, drive slow, stay warm, stay cool, whatever. Bye.
Here we go. First thing we climb a tree, and maybe then we talk, or sit silently and listen to our thoughts, illusions of someday, cast in a golden light, no dress rehearsal. This is our life.
I got 2
And that's where the hornet stung me, and I had a feverish dream with revenge and doubt. Tonight we smoke them out. You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. Stare in the morning shroud, and then the day began. I tilted your cloud, you tilted my hand. Rain falls in real time, and rain fell through the night. No dress rehearsal, this is our life. Well, that's when the hornet stung me, and I had a serious dream with revenge and doubt. Tonight we smoked them out. You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. You are ahead by a century. You are